Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This is going to be match 2 of the round of 12. White going up against Methodman. White starting in the bottom left-hand corner as the white Protoss. Methodman starting as the blue Protoss in the upper left-hand corner. This is going to be on Dominator, which, interesting map in a couple of arenas. First of all, you have that inverted ramp, of course, which I think makes two-gate... they're talking about the lag here, I think. Makes two-gate pressure as well. And also, I feel like the pizza slices out here, as they're affectionately called, or wedges if you prefer. Aw, look at the G. I just want to take a moment and point out, did you see them doing the good luck, have fun, bro? The GGs, the good vibes. I love seeing the good vibes between players here. Anyway, so where was I? Talking about the map. 3-gate goon, larger amounts of dragoons on the high ground can create a lot of problems, and running into opponents as well across the map can be a pretty important thing. This is where I feel like 2-gate, if you get zealots on the ramp, you can even do proxy forge things. We've seen that before, but also making your way across the map can be quite perilous. So big important bits here: observer discipline, obviously maintaining map control in early mid game rather than playing a little bit more passively. I will say this is also pretty wide choke of an engagement, as you can see, but with the nearby wedge, it can also turn into a downhill fight if you over-engage. So patience, I think patience is a big aspect on this map as well. Speaking of 2-gate, we're going to see a 2-gate here from White. It looks like it was almost an 11-12 gate. I think it was a 10-11 gate right there. In the meantime, it looks like Metodman, in fact, opted for a gateway assimilator opening, and White is going to end up with first scout to boot. So he's going to know precisely where to send all of his units. He's going to be able to meander this probe in, see that it's an assimilator opener. The next question is White just going to go for the 3 zealot style, or is he going to dedicate more than that? I always find it interesting when they send 5 and play it from there. Metodman making his way back across. Interestingly enough, we have a bit of a resource steal, and the probe making its way back and holding the ramp. We do have an initial zealot, which will help in the early game defense. Second zealot queued up in the meantime here for White. This is a pretty large map, as a side note, so I do feel like there is a degree of risk when it comes to fielding zealot attacks. All of the spawns a decent distance away from one another. Seeing that zealot meander out has to give a bit of an alert to Metodman. Going ahead and seeing additional zealots. Let's see if he goes for the proxy pylon. That would be the other play here. The probe is making its way along the edge. Zealot attacking that probe along that ramp edge in the meantime. This zealot making its way up, and it looks like he is going to see that third pylon placed interior to base. 2 additional zealots out. Metodman trying to buy himself a little bit of time and shield. Unfortunately, he's going to lose that probe. And honestly, I feel like that probe would have been a better distractionary threat, threatening the proxy pylon and disrupting the mineral lines, rather than giving him a half-second right there to get something else along this edge. Shield battery being dropped. 2 gateways being dropped as well. Again, I'm wondering if Metodman is... I worry about his play here. He needs to snipe this probe, because again, proxy forge can also be a thing. Just pushing your opponent back. Okay, it looks like now he's buying some time, pushing his opponents back, but he's also going deep into no man's land. 2 shots, the 3 zealots going to regroup. We do see an assimilator that has been plopped, but we see a 4th zealot, but not a 5th, rejoining this attack. And so Metodman certainly, and I do want to say I like the positioning of this shield battery, because it cuts off a degree of access. The probe picked off pretty rapidly there, by the way. And we do have a second dragoon out, and this dragoon can just hug alongside that shield battery. 1 zealot splitting off for White to the north. Nice micro on Metodman to go ahead and pull that probe out. It still gets hunted down. Didn't get the shield battery recharge on the close dragoon, so loses a dragoon, and a second zealot's in the main. 1 probe down, and Metodman actually down a considerable amount of workers overall because of the shield battery investment. And another worker goes down. Also some disrupted mining. Probes trying to defend themselves in a space here. A lot of lost mining time, so White is going to have an economic advantage going into the mid game here. Already has the 2 gates. He's got his own cybernetic score. Is going to transition this. I like this transition. Going to transition this potentially into 3-gate observer himself. And he's also pocketed very cleverly. I don't know if there's a 4th zealot that was out here, but pocketed that zealot underneath and is going to get another run. The dragoon's going to potentially have to fall back. These dragoons making the way forward. His range, I don't think range was completed in the midst of this in the meantime either. The zealot able to get the probe that was going to attempt to drop that turnaround nexus, and now we got 2 Dragoons on the low ground. Metodman has 3 Dragoons, but this is going to be at a close reinforcement point, and also walking into line of fire. So White going to have to retreat initially, but with the 3 gateways, he actually queued up an additional Zealot in the midst of this to provide a little bit of additional support. Metodman sees the 3 gateways, and that should automatically be a let's get out of dodge situation. This Zealot drawing some of these forces to the south. And Metodman is not going to pay for it, fortunately, because he has the Dragoons at close position. And I like White queuing up that Zealot to be able to run, take some shots at that up that ramp, so that White would be able to reclaim the high ground here. Is this Zealot going to be able to get out of here? We'll see. Somehow White going to end up with range ahead of this, by the way. Metodman going to end up with the economic advantage as he's going ahead and grabbing that natural expansion nexus. Do we have the robotics in play? No robotics in play, by the way. For White, it's just straight gateway production right this second. But he is holding the high ground as though he's planning on expanding. That could change momentarily. Right now, White with a 10 supply lead, which is very significant at the 6-minute mark. And a good portion of that is in workers. With the Nexus coming online much more rapidly, Metodman might have an opportunity to get back in this. White using the Zealot, holding the Zealot nearby. Unfortunately, that's been spotted. Able to get a little bit of shield damage, and White charging forward with the rest of his troops. This is going to be with a 1 Dragoon advantage, but keep in mind it's going to be high ground to low ground attack potentially. Reshuffling his troops momentarily before dedicating to an engagement. Does have a probe at the near side, and I think this is just maybe to dissuade Hope Metodman moves out of position. This has just been pure 3-gate, by the way. 3-gate into expand here from White. And I'll be interested to see if he pulls the trigger. The Zealot's charging its way forward, and it looks like he is in fact going to engage high ground to low ground. Some good target fire, trying to make his way to the north. Metodman doing a good job body blocking. Good focus fire though for White, and able to walk all the way across now. And with the focus fire he had, I did not see the equivalent focus fire on Metodman's side. White really carving this army up. They're scattering it a little bit with some stop position fire, but ending up a lot further ahead at the end of this battle. Now has 4 Dragoons running free at close positions. We don't have, and it's still 2-gate versus 3-gate. White missing an opportunity there. Okay, they're able to get the turnaround fire, so might even get some probe kills. Probe is actually pulling off the line momentarily to try to defend itself. White has at least 2 damaged Dragoons, might shuffle, but as soon as these 3 Dragoons make it forward, you can see Metodman is concerned about holding that high ground, so already retreating with the probes that he has, waiting on that 3rd gateway. Did he manage to get a robotics? He's got the robotic support bay about 2/3 finished. So White not only ahead economically now, but also has effectively shut down that natural expansion. Now coming up with more troops, gonna get a quick probe snipe and might be able to kill this Nexus before Metodman has a solution. Yeah, that Reaver just being queued up, so this is going to be a dead natural. Unfortunate thus far here from Metodman. He has closed the gap, however, in workers, but the situation should change rapidly here as we've got 2 Nexus to work with. He's lost the high ground, and this is where this can be very, very punishing. He's going to need not just a Reaver, potentially he's going to need an Observer. You can see where White can actually get free shots along that edge, and he's even going to be able to hit the edge of a gateway with those forward positioned Dragoons. A defensive pylon plopped down here for Metodman as well. So White in really, really good control of this game thus far. He's got a few Dragoons that are a bit out of position to provide additional support. There's the Reaver. And now that shield battery is actually blockading the Reaver in. And he's lucky that White actually hasn't taken to the low ground. He's got to walk across a nearby location. The shot's working against the Dragoons right this second, allowing 2 kind of revealing and allowing some pot shots. The gateway was on the verge of collapsing, and Metodman with the Dragoons peeling back, now taking the opportunity to charge forward, getting some good shots off, and it looks like he's going to get 2 Dragoons before the rest are able to pull out. However, White has managed to establish his natural expansion. He's late actually on the robotics, so we could see a shuttle turnaround. So 2 Reavers, a Observer, and a shuttle maybe. I would have loved actually to see a shuttle instead of the Observer right here, but maybe going for the Observer just in case there were DTs, something along those lines. That might be the timing that White needs to get up sufficient defense and get his own Reaver count up, because right this second, White has a significant economic lead. He's got a significant troop count lead, but what he does not have is a lot of Reavers, and Reavers with well-placed Scarabs, especially when you have to occupy very claustrophobic wedge high grounds like this, can be the turning point in a battle, and also you can see there's just a massive amount of drop area to enter and escape that is more or less unspottable across wide swaths of land here, but that would have required a press. Did we see a cancel? Or did the observer's on the way out? The other thing, observers build pretty rapidly here. That's another aspect. White moving a probe to go ahead and keep eyes, just in case an attack trooping. The Dragoons actually hugging around the natural expansion momentarily. The observer actually holding short. And White acting like he's going to grab the nearby mineral only third as Metodman moves a significant amount of troops in position. For the moment, I don't see probes queued up here at the natural expansion. I was wondering if he's going to halt. Okay, now he's... I'm not sure if he's holding back, and he actually hasn't saturated the natural either. I'm wondering if he's holding back, planning on going for an all-in assault with those Reavers. We have one Reaver out on the front. It has no shuttle protection here for White. If Metodman pulls the trigger, I think he's going to have an opportunity to do, as soon as these Reavers are here, he's going to have an opportunity before there's two Reavers or a shuttle on the opposite end. So picking off this Reaver that White's holding along that rear line could be absolutely enormous. But he's on a timer right here. Reavers getting free. This is what I'm talking about, getting those free pot shots along that edge. The observer can be a big help as well, and you can see where these units bunch up, which could be wonderful shot opportunity, good shot opportunity. So Metodman starting to carve forward. Now the question is does he have enough? Reaver down on White side of the map, but the two Reavers are still up, but I don't see units reinforcing. It looks like White might just have too much. Pretty decent trades, honestly. Only getting swarmed at the end because of earlier economic deficit, and unfortunately for Metodman, it does not seem like it was sufficient, and I do believe he paused a unit production in the midst of this, and White has a massive army bearing down on him now. White actually looking to potentially grab bottom right in the midst of this, an observer on the high ground in between. Reavers stopping at the high ground, and White making his way all the way to the high ground, and now that he's, I think, lost track of that shuttle, has opted to not continue pursuit. Nexus getting dropped at the mineral only. That tends to be a very vulnerable situation. The observer also checking the high ground wedge. Reavers are going to make their way forward to go ahead and poke at that, get some good damage. A slot of Dragoons wiped out. Not a lot wiped out opposite end, but now the observer picked off, which should allow the Reavers to get some additional damage done, but with reinforcements moving up for White, yeah, he's able to swarm and once again push Metodman back. And that shuttle going to get wiped out. And losing that shuttle on the Reaver, that is likely going to be the GG for Metodman, because I don't think after losing that he can hold in this. We've had a swarm of gateways, a 6th gateway just about planted, a stronger economy, a lot else moving out, and it doesn't look like Metodman, he's got 5 gateways behind this, but even at close positions, he's not going to be able to hold. He has a probe making his way bottom right. He's at least able to see that there's not a Nexus there, but things are looking grim for Metodman. Doesn't have a lot of options left. Does have a Reaver in that shuttle at the very least, but all Metodman has to do, all White has to do is reinforce with either his own shuttle and Reavers or just a handful of Dragoons. Looks like the Dragoons are going to pull back from White. I actually think that's an intelligent play right this second, because he knows if this game is going to turn around, it's going to come from Metodman getting some sort of excellent exchange, probe checking various corners. I'm not sure if White was intentionally leaving probes at these locations to spot for Metodman, or if Metodman was trying to sneak a Nexus here, but it could be both at once. Dragoon's gonna go ahead and move forward and be able to snipe that probe before that Nexus was spotted. I will say this is because it's between these two chasms, I guess I should say foothills more than chasms. Point being, it's in a slight valley here, and you have the vision advantage that can come from one location. Many players have lost a game trying to defend this mineral only. Metodman staging up for the only thing he can do, which is grab an additional base himself. White going ahead and claiming the 6 o'clock in the midst of this. His main actually looking a little bit thin early, potentially because of a somewhat later, one because of the 3-gate opener, and also the somewhat later natural expansion grab. And the one surprising thing here from White is this is his first shuttle. So well, I guess the second surprising thing, he's grabbing a 4th 6 o'clock Nexus before shuttle. Observer's also making their way out to go ahead. Never mind, that's a probe, an observer making its way across. This is going to be, is it still 6 gateway versus 6 gateway? That should change in a moment as soon as white gets his economy rolling. Slightly. The probe making its way gets blockaded by a Dragoon. It's got to presume that there's a base. I'm just noticing this blinky light right there. Maybe that's the emergency light. White, moving his way back out, wants to potentially deny that mineral only. Still 2 Reavers and a damaged shuttle at the nearby location. Secondary problem here for Metodman being down on troops is he potentially wants to try to defend the wedge outside is natural, but also potentially try to defend that 1 o'clock location, and defending both locations can be somewhat challenging. High Templar are also out here for white, and I think Psystorm was upgraded, so that Reaver advantage is going to be somewhat negated. Is he going to go for the Reaver, or is he going to go for the troops? I do like that Metodman very wisely spread the troops out. It looks like white going to go for the bulk of the Dragoon troops for the Psystorms in the midst of this, and his own Reaver and shuttles now joining the fray. Dark Templar in the midst of this as well, gets picked off pretty rapidly. And there's GG for Metodman. His army, even though it looked like it was exchanging fairly well considering the tech disadvantage, was still not going to have sufficient troops compared to white. So white takes game 1. We'll move on to game 2. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.